Happy Friday, August 23rd, 2024. I'm back again with some weather updates, okay? Things are kind of quiet out there for the time being, but you guys know whenever I show up here on a Friday, it's not for no reason, okay? We've got stuff to talk about. Things are about to escalate as we go into the near future. First of all, looking at our side of the earth here, you see a little something trying to spin around over here in the Pacific. Let's get an up close and personal look at that. And boom. There she is, Gilma, absolutely causing a daggone ruckus out there for the fish in the eastern Pacific Ocean. It's been a beautiful display of how much tropical cyclone energy we have available to us in these oceans right now in the Pacific with all these recent hurricanes and storms that we've had. We're not seeing the same kind of story play out in the Atlantic basin so far, except for Hurricane Beryl. Of course, that was a record-setting, record-breaking storm. But so far, the Pacific seems to be winning in terms of the number of intense storms that we've seen. So Gilma is going to continue to strengthen likely as it goes off to the west. And we're going to talk a lot about the Atlantic basin and our upcoming hurricane threats here in just a moment. But first, we've got some more near-term and close-to-home threats that we need to talk about. Marginal risk of severe weather today around the Rockies. Nothing crazy there. As we go into tomorrow, though, once again, nothing crazy. A hail threat, especially around western Colorado up into southeastern portions of Wyoming. General thunderstorm risk for everybody else in the light green there. This is heavily associated with a big ridge here, lots of Pacific moisture. Got a lot of monsoonal energy associated with this. However, things pick up on the day 3 outlook. About 700,000 people under the gun for a slight risk of severe weather on the day 3 here from Fargo, North Dakota down to Moorhead, Minnesota. And that's the slight risk, okay? And then the marginal risk goes all the way down back into New Mexico. I think that this is going to be a pretty big day in terms of hail and strong winds. Even up there into Canada, you guys need to watch out farther north, up past North Dakota and Minnesota. I think that's where the strongest storms will actually be. And it doesn't stop there. Day 4, this is unusual. This actually doesn't happen very often in August, where we have a pattern in place that allows for enough confidence from the Storm Prediction Center to go ahead and issue an outlook for severe weather on the day 4 outlook. So Monday, get ready in Minnesota and portions of Wisconsin up into the UP of Michigan, maybe even back there in South Dakota. I think that you guys are going to be in for definitely the strong wind threat, maybe some hail, maybe even a couple of tornadoes, something that we have to be concerned about here. We're going to be watching this one incredibly closely. And here's what the radar could look like over the next day or so. You can see that huge explosion of energy here from the ridge coming up in the west. This is going to bring our marginal risk of severe weather over the next couple of days. Lots of rain, once again, lots of flash flooding threats in Arizona, New Mexico, up into Utah even, and Colorado. Heavier rain back here into the Pacific Northwest as well. Scattered showers and thunderstorms in Florida up through portions of the extreme southeast coast. But you can see very clearly here that we have a ridge, a big trough. We're experiencing some very quiet weather over here, but the unsettled nature of this is going to slowly propagate to the east. And we're about to dive deep into that, I promise. But first, thank goodness we've got a sponsor today, so let's give them a shout out. Liquid IV, the best summertime hydration solution. If you're like me, summertime usually means that you're going to go to the beach or maybe a little bit of Pigeon Forge. You're going outside, right? And you're enjoying the usually quieter and calmer weather patterns before hurricane season starts to pick up. But all this fun in the sun can sometimes leave you feeling a little dehydrated. And that's why the first thing that I'm tossing in my bag anywhere that I go is Liquid IV. This stuff is a game changer for staying hydrated. My favorite flavor is gold cherry, and I like pina colada a lot too. It's pretty good. And not only does it taste great, it's also got 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. Even when I'm right here grinding out videos or doing 12-hour-long live streams, whatever it is, Liquid IV is the driving force behind my ability to stay feeling good. And I know a lot of you watching this right now have already tried it and you already love it, but we've got some new people here. And guess what? New customers can use my discount code RYAN20 for 20% off your order. So you can stay hydrated and live more this summer. Just click this link right here, use this code right here, and you're good to go. Of course, that link is in the top of the description. I want to say a huge thank you to Liquid IV for being a consistent sponsor of this channel. It helps a lot. Now let's get back into it. Let's take a look at that upper air pattern as we go even farther into the future. Look at that big ridge. It's going to move east, and once again, we're going to have some crazy hot temperatures for a lot of people in the central U.S. Even moving a little bit farther east this time, we're going to see stark contrast between the temperatures from this week and the week prior, and next week it's going to feel like summer again as this huge trough comes in and brings a lot of dry and warm weather to some places that really would love to see an extended cooler period and more rain. But watch what happens here as this ridge moves off to the east. It's going to continue to move. There's a little bit of an interesting thing that's going to happen here where the ridge doesn't necessarily go away, right? It's not like we have this big sweeping trough that comes in and kind of causes this major cool down for everybody. But there is going to be another pattern where we have these smaller troughs move down over the ridge, just like we saw back in July and June. This is also slightly unusual for August. We're usually growing out of this phase by now, but it looks like we're going to have another slip and slide storm system set up here where we're going to have potentially daily threats for severe weather, especially in the form of damaging winds in this specific region of the U.S. here. So this is something we've dealt with a lot this year, and it looks like that's going to continue at least for another week or so as we go through the end of August. And yeah, that's going to be the pattern for quite some time. Things are going to continue to be dry, though, for the vast majority of everybody on the underside of that. Climate Prediction Center is seeing these patterns. We're talking about the above average temperatures in the east and the central U.S., below average back there, where some of those troughs are going to be moving into the north central United States. It's not going to be much below average, I don't think, in places like Wyoming, but it's definitely going to be a little different than maybe what we're used to this time of year. But yeah, definitely get ready for the continued heat in Louisiana up into the southeastern U.S. Something else that's a little bit unusual is the lack of tropical activity in the Atlantic Ocean right now. We've been talking our butts off about how this is going to be a hyperactive season, and we're going to see all kinds of tropical storms this year. And to be honest with you, looking at the data, this year has already been record-breaking, mostly thanks to just Hurricane Beryl. That was a crazy storm of epic proportions on a meteorological scale. A lot of you guys probably haven't thought about it in a while, but just in terms of how quickly that one blew up and what it did and how early that happened, it was nuts. However, since then, we've had a couple of weaker systems, but nothing crazy, right? I do expect that is going to change. I think we're going to have a lot of storms this year. I still think we're going to have an overactive or above average season, but thankfully, at least for the next 7 days, we've got nothing to worry about here in the Atlantic Basin. But take a look at this, the latest from the Climate Prediction Center here on the Global Tropics Hazards Outlook. This is valid from August 28th through September 3rd. So right around, after that 7-day outlook, pretty much, we expect the following week to really get going here in terms of at least our probability of seeing some unsettled weather here in the main development region that would lead to storms forming and then moving up into the Atlantic Basin, where we're concerned about the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, and the east coast of the United States. And then, week 3 here is even showing a greater than 40% probability of seeing some tropical development. That's pretty high. That's a pretty confident forecast for up to 2 to 3 weeks out. And honestly, you wouldn't know it just looking at the GFS. I mean, if we scroll all the way through here, there's a couple of waves that try to come off of Africa, but nothing really turns into a substantial threat according to the GFS model. Now, of course, once you get past like 120 hours, this stuff is just kind of wishy-washy. It's very important that you don't look at one run of one model and take it as literal guidance or anything like that. But it is interesting that the GFS, which usually, whenever there's this much energy in the oceans, it's usually showing, crazy end of the world storms every other day. It's pretty interesting how quiet it is right now. But once again, I think that we're just seeing a lull in activity. And honestly, that's probably not a good thing. The sea surface temperatures are increasing with every day that goes by where we don't have a big storm soaking it up. Unfortunately, I do think that September is going to be a very active month as far as tropics go. Let's hope that all those storms, recurve out into the ocean and we can just watch them from afar and admire their beauty. But just in case, if you have interests along the coast, Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean, East Coast, Florida, whatever it is, don't let your guard down and go over those hurricane plans one more time. And then once we get past September and October, maybe we can put this all behind us. Hopefully the weather people were wrong again. Hopefully. And for anybody who's interested, this still isn't public yet. We're finishing it up. I promise I'll give you guys a link here soon. But it does look like Sunday and Monday, there's a small chance that we might do a live stream here right now, around 20 to 30%. But we're almost certainly doing a video those days to update you on the severe weather threat up there in the north. And then, of course, also we're going to update you on the tropical situation and anything else that pops up. So that's the forecast for whether or not I'm doing a forecast. Trust me, it's better this way. You don't need the weatherman when it's sunny and 75, okay? That's what your weather app is for. I only want to bug you whenever I'm needed, all right? So that's all I've got for you today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.